With that, I'm going to introduce our innovation speaker this week. It's Mr. Rudy Miick. Rudy is a resort guy. He was raised in Hawaii and Colorado and in business, serving guests in his family's store at the age of 6. By 15, he was working in restaurants, on stage, and sponsored surfing events. Then at 24, he was a partner in his first restaurant. At 27, he started his consulting company, opening restaurants, then chains. By 30, he'd opened 9 different successful concepts. Rudy taught hospitality management at UCLA for 13 years. He's the author of Leadership Cookbook and co-author of 5 other books focused on business and leadership. He continues to thrive in concept development, growth, and high profitability with consistent results in 11 different industries and 6 nations. He worked over, with 1,700 restaurant hospitality clients, and his work with leaders drives performance that's 3 to 5 times higher than industry averages, all goals achieved consistently. Hands down, Rudy's one of the nation's leading authorities on culture, brand execution, effective change, and profitability. Let's welcome Rudy Miick, CMC.
A year and a half of COVID training on high technology, right?
Right.
As a speaker. There you go. I was going to say, and what I was saying to a muted mic was I'm humbled by, John, your introduction, especially with this audience. My intuition is that any one of us could read off something exceedingly similar, if not bigger, broader, faster, with more. So first of all, thank you. I was asked to speak a little bit about mentoring and being mentored in support of the student mentorship program that Branton and John are so involved with, along with Jerry and others. And again, at some level, I'm going to make up a story that every one of us somewhere along the line has been mentored to make us the consultants we are. So if you'll bear with me, I will share as briefly as possible some background highlights, because on some level because of the mentors I've had, I've been given a really blessed life and a blessed career. My dad is my first mentor, and John's intro is absolutely right. I was raised in an ice cream store where the living quarters were a curtain separating the store, right? Literally. And ice cream, my dad made 26 flavors of ice cream, 18% butterfat, and it was a nickel a scoop. And so by the time I was 6, we literally, it's one of my earliest memories, but we had a bell on the door, and very Pavlovian dog thing. My dad just looked at me, went, well, you heard the bell, right? Without any words at all. We're at a meal. He looks at me like, you hear the bell, go. It's your turn. It's time. Go deal with the guest. At any rate, long story short, first mentoring, very blue collar. Please and thank you. Yes, ma'am. No, sir. Keep it clean. Keep it high value. Charge a fair price. Give back the right change. Right? By 6. At 15, it was, oh, you want a guitar? I was a bit of a musical protege, another part of mentoring. He says, oh, you want a guitar? Go get a job. You're old enough to get paid. So I did. I was a dishwasher in a Chinese chop suey house in Kailua, Hawaii. And the mentoring there, so I'm going to pick up pace here. I've got about 7.5 minutes to share this. I'm a 6'1" white guy with 3 master's degrees now. And I had the good fortune in Hawaii to be raised as a minority and to be kicked off of teams or kept off of teams because I was the wrong color. I viscerally remember not being able to play baseball or basketball or football because I was the wrong color. And I was in fights only because I was the biggest white kid. In Hawaii, we call them haoles. Another mentoring that leads to consulting. The word aloha, most of us know. We think, and it translates now to hello, goodbye, and love. The actual root of the word is aloha, one with breath. And haole in Hawaii is what white people are called, usually preceded with an F-bomb or some aggressive tone of voice. And haole is one, the direct translation, now 500 years later, white person, it literally translates to one without breath. Therein, 40 years later, 50 years later, how do I build companies that are one with breath? Where there's love, not fear, where there's high performance, not less. The other part of early mentorship was in music, of performance. So how is, and again, 40 years later, who would know, right? But within performance, and I was performing publicly by the time I started playing the instruments at 4. And at I was a paid musician by the time I was in my teens as well. I had the opportunity to play at Carnegie Hall when I was 18 and at the Kennedy Center. So I was in one of my pre-consulting gigs, I was a songwriter as well, professional songwriter. And the point of this is that, okay, in performance, we practice. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, right? Great joke. But what was interesting is there's practice, there's preliminary work to be done. Then there's performance. And immediately after the performance, the really good producers, the really good mentors, we would break down the performance immediately after, not even the next morning, and you didn't go off and get high, certainly not young. Immediately after the performance and the next day was, how do we make last night's performance better tonight? What do we do every day to make and build on what we did well, rather than taking a day off? Part of the musical into the world of workplace, I was playing music and raising money, which is a whole other story. It was a fundraiser for an educational foundation and playing music. And I got the opportunity to residence at the Breakers Hotel in Palm Beach, which is one of 54 5-star hotels in the United States. And I was a blue collar kid. I had no idea. And this, if you've ever been, it's just one of the world's greatest hotels still. And at any rate, I was 18, excuse me. And I became good friends with the resident manager. And I asked one day finally, Henry, how does this work? How do you get a 5-star experience like this every day? He goes, well, Rudy, it's simple. The answer is yes. What's your question? Fast forward, from that Breakers Hotel experience, I fell in love with the hotel business. I went back to Hawaii. Long story short, I kind of put up my musical instruments for a while, and I decided I'm going in the hotel business. and the restaurant business and rapidly moved through this stuff. And my next journey and next mentors ended up being an investment banker and an Olympic coach that were a rowing coach that were two partners. And the whole point of this, of their business was run the business so I can go on vacation. Unit one of a restaurant is to party hard, make big money, and run it and track the numbers and the performance in a way that I can go on vacation, as opposed to I am the restaurant, which is what my dad was and what 99% of the world's restaurant people are. And so this is the early 70s, a decade before desktop computers. But the process was, we literally, from the banking world, we were doing yield analysis to 0.1% by hand on steaks, fish, anything that was prepped. We did yield analysis on, as a production plant, we were running a 13-period year, 13 4-period periods in this is 1972. Buying only what we need. So long before lean management came out, we were buying and turning inventory. And the coach was, this is all about the people, treat them right. Back full circle, Douglas McGregor, theory X, theory Y, treat people right. Back to my dad's teaching. Long story short, we had a manager that came in. I was still young, and I'm going to stop pretty close here. The guy was a consultant. I'd never even heard the word before. I didn't even know what a consultant was. I was given the job of opening a restaurant, coached by and mentored by these two guys. We opened the restaurant, had a black P&L in 30 days. We paid the thing off in a year and a half, and I sold my stock and became a consultant. And never looked back, and the rest of the story is in the introduction. But the point, as I look back through this, how did I fast track? How was I given these opportunities at such a young age, and the audacity to become a consultant at 26 and then go on to get grad school and through? Those stories long, just like it is for all of us. It's clear to me, it's all about mentoring. It's all about finding the right person to inspire me, but also give me those nuggets. The answer is yes. What's your question? Please and thank you, quality and value, etc. What do we get? We get new brain power. We get people with the initiative to reach out and say, I want to be a mentor, I want to be an intern. We get to see that high performance, likely for those of us that are building our company still, or growing our company, or having a bigger staff. There's a fast track to finding the next young consultant. We get ROI, and we get, I think one of the biggest gifts for me is now actually quivers my voice still. All the gifts I get to give back and pass on the stories that I just shared with you. So hopefully that next gen gets the return that we get from them, with new brain, new challenge, new opportunity, and just the ability to share stories back and forth and make an impact. It's a pebble in a pond. Who knows where the ripple will come? On that, I'll stop. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.